Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive. Today, we're embarking on an exploration into a truly fascinating set of ideas.
hmm
These aren't just theories, they're fundamental principles that reveal the underlying mechanics of success across every dimension of your life, from your personal well being and relationships to your professional achievements and financial freedom.
Right.
It's so easy, isn't it, to get caught up endlessly chasing external factors for success.
It really is.
We often look for the perfect connections, the most money, the most prestigious education, or, the right
Through
opportunity.
external stuff.
Exactly. But what if the real power, the profound blueprint for achievement, lies not outside, but entirely within each of us?
Hmm.
And what if it's freely available to anyone, regardless of their starting point or current circumstances?
That's the really empowering part.
Our mission in this deep dive is to unpack insights from thinkers who dedicated their lives to uncovering these unseen yet incredibly potent principles of achievement. We're going to help you extract the essential nuggets that you can put into practice immediately.
And that's a crucial distinction right from the start. This isn't about magical thinking or, wishful fantasies.
Right, not just wishing.
No. What we're discussing here is about grasping intrinsic mental laws principles as reliable and predictable as, say, the laws of physics.
Okay.
They govern our inner world and, consequently, profoundly shape our outer reality. What's truly fascinating here is how these insights, gleaned from decades, even centuries, of observing exceptionally successful individuals, consistently point to a remarkably clear and consistent pathway to achievement.
A pattern.
A definite pattern.
Mm.
It's a collective wisdom that has unequivocally stood the test of time, proving that these aren't random occurrences, but repeatable processes.
So let's unpack this core foundational idea that sets the stage for everything else.
Yeah.
The profound, almost unbelievable power of the mind. We've been told, and it sounds almost too good to be true, that thoughts are more powerful than money, influence, and opportunity combined. How can that possibly be? It flies in the face of so much of what we're conditioned to believe about success.
It sounds profound because it is profound. And yet, in its essence, it's surprisingly simple once you grasp it.
Okay.
The secret isn't some hidden formula locked away somewhere. It's an inherent capability that resides within every single human being.
Inside us already.
Exactly. This core insight was actually shared by Andrew Carnegie, the legendary industrial titan, with Napoleon Hill many decades ago, prompting Hill to embark on his lifelong research.
Ah, the Carnegie connection.
Yes, Carnegie's message was crystal clear. All achievement begins with an idea. This became the bedrock of Hill's extensive and meticulous study, where he analyzed the lives and strategies of over 500 exceedingly wealthy and influential individuals.
500, wow.
Yeah, think about names that resonate through history. Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, Charles Schwab, and Carnegie himself. Absolute giants. What Hill found was truly illuminating. He identified 13 common denominators among these highly successful people. And here's the crucial, almost revolutionary part. These traits didn't hinge on ruthlessness, on inherited wealth, or on pre-existing influence or connections.
Not the usual suspect.
Not at all, no. Every single one of them, without exception, ultimately came down to the profound and deliberate power of their minds. It was their internal landscape that dictated their external reality.
That's truly a paradigm shift. It suggests that success isn't primarily about what you have or who you know, but fundamentally about how you think about what you want to achieve.
Precisely. It's the internal game first.
Can you give us a concrete example of this mind over matter principle in action from one of those titans, something that really illustrates the seemingly impossible becoming possible?
Absolutely. A classic example is Henry Ford and his vision for the V8 engine.
Ah, yes.
When he conceived the idea, he instructed his engineers to design an 8-cylinder engine cast in a single block. Now, these were brilliant engineers, top of their field, armed with all the technical knowledge and practical experience of the time.
They knew their stuff.
Absolutely. After a year of intense work, they came back to him and, based on all known principles of metallurgy and engineering, declared it simply impossible.
Impossible. Flat out. Flat out.
They reiterated
Yeah.
that there was no way to carry out his orders. But Ford's response was unwavering, almost stoic. He didn't engage in an argument. He didn't negotiate. He didn't even ask for a compromise.
What did he say?
He simply stated with absolute conviction, "Go right ahead, I want it, and I'll have it."
Just like that.
Just like that. His sheer, unyielding determination, that singular mental resolve, overrode what was considered a fixed technical limitation. And what transpired?
They found a way.
As if by a stroke of determined will, not magic, The precise method for casting that V8 engine in a single block was discovered. Ford's determination, his unwavering idea, literally forced the discovery of a solution that was previously deemed impossible. So, the key insight here for you is that what seems impossible isn't a fixed reality, but often a limit of current perception or belief. Unwavering mental resolve can literally force the discovery of solutions that elude those who stop at the first sign of perceived impossibility.
That's a powerful validation of the idea that inner conviction can precede outer manifestation. It's almost like the universe or reality itself conspires when you're truly resolute and unwavering in your mental blueprint.
It certainly seems to respond to that kind of focus intent.
So it's clearly more than just passively wanting something. This leads us to a concept that I find particularly compelling. The idea of burning desire and its close partner, definiteness of purpose.
Ah, yes, critical components.
It sounds less like a casual wish and more like an all-consuming emotional commitment, a relentless inner fire.
Precisely. Burning desire is presented as the absolute, non-negotiable starting point of all achievement. It's the intensity of your wanting that differentiates a fleeting wish or a mild preference from a powerful, driving force that compels action and attracts resources.
Intensity is key.
Absolutely. As the saying goes, and it's deeply insightful, weak desires bring weak results, just as a small amount of fire makes a small amount of heat.
Makes sense.
The level of your desire, its emotional charge, directly correlates with the magnitude and speed of the outcome you can realistically expect. It's the difference between saying, "I'd like to be successful," and "I must be successful."
So it's not enough to simply intellectually desire something. You have to crave it with every fiber of your being, to feel it in your bones.
That's the essence of it, a deep, visceral craving.
Can you walk us through a real-world example, perhaps one of the most vivid, of this burning desire in action?
The story of Edwin C. Barnes is perhaps the most iconic illustration of this principle. Over 3 decades before the source material was compiled, he reportedly climbed off a freight train in Orange, New Jersey, seemingly resembling a tramp.
Rough start.
Very. Yet internally, his thoughts were those of a king. His mind was completely, utterly consumed by one singular objective, a burning desire to become a business associate of the great inventor, Thomas Edison.
Not just work for him, but with him.
Exactly. Crucially, he didn't just want a job for Edison, he envisioned himself as a partner with Edison. When he finally arrived at Edison's office, he didn't have a grand resume, no formal introduction, no prior experience that would logically qualify him for such an ambition.
Nothing on paper.
Nothing. He was willing to start in the most menial labor as long as it offered even the slightest step toward his cherished goal. For 5 long years, he persisted in menial work, without any promise of success, without a single ray of hope being overtly held out to him.
5 years.
Wow. Yeah. To everyone else, he was just another anonymous cog in the vast Edison organization. But in his own mind, Barnes held an unwavering internal belief. He was the partner of Edison every minute of the time.
He lived it internally.
Completely. He famously burned all bridges behind him, meaning he deliberately left himself no retreat, no easier path, no option but to succeed in this one. Burning ambition.
No plan B.
No plan B whatsoever. He clung to his desire, nurturing it until it became a dominating obsession, and eventually, through a series of opportunities he created and seized, it became a tangible reality.
How did it happen?
He not only became instrumental in selling the Edison dictating machine, but he did so with such unparalleled success that he earned a national distribution contract. This alliance ultimately became the source of his immense wealth and proved, beyond doubt, that one truly can think and grow rich. It illustrates how an unwavering, emotionally charged desire can sculpt your reality.
What an incredible testament to focused intensity and unshakable belief. It's the kind of determination that makes you feel there's absolutely no other option but success, because retreat is simply not in the mental vocabulary.
Exactly. No room for doubt.
It reminds me vividly of the story of Marshall Field after the Great Chicago Fire.
Yes, the Chicago Fire anecdote perfectly reinforces this profound principle.
Tell us about that.
After the devastating Great Chicago Fire, most merchants stood on State Street, surveying the smoking, utterly destroyed remains of their stores. The logical, seemingly rational decision for many was to leave Chicago entirely, to start fresh elsewhere, escaping the monumental task of rebuilding.
Understandable.
Completely. But Marshall Field, standing amidst the rubble of what had been his enterprise, pointed resolutely at the very spot where his store had been. With absolute conviction, he declared to his associates, "Gentlemen, on that very spot, I will build the world's greatest store no matter how many times it may burn down.
Wow. Amidst the ruins.
Right there. This unwavering mindset, this almost audacious refusal to be defeated in the face of widespread ruin and the easier path of retreat, fueled the creation of what stands today as a towering monument to the power of burning desire.
So he didn't just rebuild.
He didn't just rebuild what was lost. He envisioned and built the greatest, driven by an absolute refusal to compromise on his vision. It's a testament to how an internal decision can literally reshape the physical landscape around you.
That's incredibly powerful. It's the kind of conviction that doesn't just adapt to circumstances, but actively shapes them, bending reality to its will. So this burning desire is clearly foundational, the engine, if you will. But what about definiteness of purpose? How does knowing precisely what you want with clarity and specificity tie into this intense desire? Is it the steering wheel?
That's an excellent analogy. Yes, definiteness of purpose is indeed the precise knowledge of what one wants, and it's inextricably intertwined with burning desire.
Need both.
Absolutely. Without a clear destination, the most powerful engine simply spins its wheels. A compelling example is Dr. Gonzalez, who harbored a strong desire to found the Armor Institute of Technology and needed $1 million to do so.
$1 million back then.
Exactly. A huge sum. He had been thinking about it, wanting it, for nearly 2 years, nursing the desire internally, but without concrete action or a specific plan.
Just wanting wasn't enough.
Apparently not. Then, one Saturday afternoon, he made a sharp, definite decision to obtain the money within a week.
A definite decision. That's the key phrase.
That's it. Crucially, alongside that decision, he also formulated a definite plan. He would preach a sermon the following morning titled, "What I Would Do If I Had $1 Million."
He planned the how.
Yes. The very moment he made that definite decision and formulated a precise plan, a strange feeling of assurance came over him, as if the outcome was already sealed.
He felt it was done.
He did. Remarkably, he received the full funds within 36 hours.
36 hours. Incredible.
It demonstrates that vast sums of money or any significant achievement are not solely the result of hard work or blind chance. Instead, they come in response to definite demands based upon the application of definite principles and not by chance or luck.
Definite demands based on definite principles.
Right. Practical dreamers, those with a definite purpose, are the ones who truly harness intangible, unseen forces of unborn opportunity and convert them into tangible reality. Think of Charles M. Schwab, whose singular definite idea and the unwavering faith with which he conveyed it to J.P. Morgan ultimately led to the formation of the United States Steel Corporation, generating approximately $600 million in profit.
Wow.
This wasn't luck or simply working hard. It was the formidable power of a definite idea, backed by faith and a concrete plan powerfully put into action.
That's astounding. It really drives home the idea that intention, when powerfully combined with a clear, specific target, can manifest in ways we might initially deem impossible.
It really does.
So, if burning desire is the fuel and definite purpose is the precise destination on our mental map, how does the mind actually build that reality? We hear a lot about the subconscious mind, and it seems to be at the heart of this process. What exactly is it, and how does it play such a pivotal executive role in this manifestation?
The subconscious mind is best understood as a vast, incredibly sophisticated field of consciousness within you.
A field of consciousness.
Okay, every single thought impulse that reaches your objective conscious mind, whether through your 5 senses, through a suggestion, or through your own deliberate ideation, is meticulously classified and recorded within this field.
Like a super advanced database.
You can think of it that way, yes. Think of it not just as a filing cabinet, but as an incredibly powerful processing unit from which thoughts can be perfectly recalled and acted upon. But its role is far more active than mere storage.
It does things.
Oh yes, it is the part of your mind that acts first and primarily on dominating desires that have been mixed with emotional feelings, such as faith. It takes your deepest convictions, those infused with strong emotion, and works tirelessly, non-judgmentally, and literally to bring them into your physical reality.
So it's not just a passive receiver, a storage unit. It's an active executor of our dominant thoughts and feelings.
Exactly. It executes the program.
Can you give us an analogy to make that clearer, something that illustrates its faithful yet literal nature?
An excellent analogy for understanding the relationship between the conscious and subconscious mind is that of a ship at sea.
Okay, a ship.
Your conscious mind is the navigator or captain standing at the bridge. The captain is responsible for setting the course, directing the ship, and signaling orders to the crew in the engine room.
Got it. Conscious mind, Captain.
Right. Now, the men in the engine room, that's your subconscious mind.
The engine room crew.
Exactly. They do not know where they're going. They simply follow orders, faithfully and without question. They control all the boilers, instruments, and gauges that power the ship.
They just do the job.
Precisely. Here's the critical part.
Hmm.
If the captain on the bridge issues faulty or wrong instructions, perhaps based on an incorrect reading from the compass or a misjudgment of the currents, the ship will inevitably go off course, perhaps even run aground.
Makes sense. Bad orders, bad outcome.
Right. The men in the engine room don't question the captain's wisdom or the correctness of the orders. They just carry them out with absolute fidelity. This vividly illustrates the direct and often immediate impact of your conscious thought, your mental blueprint, on the actions and outcomes orchestrated by your subconscious mind.
So it just follows instructions, good or bad.
It is a faithful servant, literally reproducing whatever idea, positive or negative, is impressed upon it.
That's a powerful warning about the quality and precision of our mental instructions. It implies a profound responsibility.
It absolutely does.
So it's not about forcing or willing the subconscious, but impressing it with belief, with the feeling of what you desire. Is this what's often referred to as the law of belief?
Precisely. The law of belief is a fundamental principle stating that whatever the conscious reasoning mind truly believes, meaning accepts as true and infuses with feeling, the subconscious mind will unquestionably accept as a command and act upon.
Belief is the key command.
Yes. It's a critical distinction to understand that it's not the thing believed in itself, not a specific creed or external dogma, but rather the belief itself held within your own mind that brings about the result.
So the power is in the belief itself.
Exactly. This is why plain, unemotional words do not influence the subconscious mind effectively. To truly impress it and get tangible results, your thoughts must be emotionalized with belief, felt as deeply true.
Emotion gives it power.
The strength of your conviction, the emotional charge you put behind your thoughts, is what gives them their transformative power. Your subconscious takes that belief, and it leverages every bit of knowledge you've gathered, all the natural laws operating in the universe, and the infinite power within you to bring it to fruition. It responds to the feeling, the deep conviction of your thought.
That's fascinating. So our emotional state is like the fertile soil for these seeds of thought. It determines whether they take root and flourish.
A very good way to put it, yes.
Given that, how do we deliberately plant these creative, empowering thoughts? And crucially, how do we counteract the negative, destructive ones using what's called autosuggestion?
Autosuggestion is the deliberate agency through which you can voluntarily and consciously feed your subconscious mind with thoughts of a creative nature.
Feeding it the good stuff.
Exactly. Conversely, if you neglect this vital process, you effectively allow destructive, fear-based, or limiting thoughts to find their way into this rich garden of the mind, often through external influences or past conditioning.
Letting weeds grow.
Precisely. It's essentially reconditioning therapy, a disciplined practice of mental gardening.
Mental gardening, I like that.
Consider the case of a young singer preparing for an audition. She possessed a very good voice, but had repeatedly failed auditions due to a crippling, ingrained fear of failure.
Performance anxiety.
Exactly. She would tell herself internally, when the time comes for me to sing, maybe they won't like me. I will try, but I'm full of fear and anxiety.
Her subconscious mind, faithful to its programming, accepted these negative autosuggestions, infused as they were with strong emotion fear, and manifested them as performance anxiety, leading to poor auditions.
Her fear became reality.
It did. To counteract this, she began a specific discipline technique. 3 times a day, and critically, immediately before sleep, when the subconscious is particularly receptive, she would isolate herself, relax her body, and quietly, but with deep feeling and conviction, affirm, "I sing beautifully. I am poised, serene, confident, and calm."
Reprogramming herself. Yes. She repeated this statement slowly, quietly, and with feeling, 5 to 10 times during each session. Within a single week, she was completely poised and confident, giving a truly remarkable audition that showcased her talent.
Wow, just a week.
That's the report. This demonstrates how consistent emotionalized autosuggestion can reprogram the subconscious, overriding deeply ingrained negative patterns.
That's a perfect example of overcoming ingrained negative patterns, literally changing internal programming through consistent conscious input.
Mhm.
You also mentioned the author's own son developing hearing through bone conduction due to a persistent desire. That sounds like another remarkable illustration of autosuggestion's power against seemingly insurmountable physical limitations. Can you tell us more about that?
Certainly. The author's son was born profoundly deaf, a diagnosis that at the time was often considered a lifelong, unchangeable condition.
A difficult diagnosis.
Very. While scientists had made great strides in understanding the physical mechanisms of hearing, the author, driven by an intense, burning desire rooted in a deep love, refused to accept this limitation as final.
Refuse to accept it.
Exactly. He planted in his mind the desire to hear and to speak as any normal person hears and speaks. He mixed faith with the desire, an unwavering belief that this was possible, and communicated this desire to his son through persistent, continuous effort over years.
Desire mixed with faith.
Crucial combination. He didn't just hope. He believed with absolute conviction that his son would hear and speak. When his son was old enough to cooperate, the author consistently filled his mind with this burning desire for sound and speech.
Constant reinforcement.
Yes, a pivotal, almost serendipitous moment came when they acquired a record player. The child, in an act of self-formed habit, would stand in front of it, listening, with his teeth clamped on the edge of the case.
Teeth on the record player. Why?
Years later, they realized he was experiencing sound through bone conduction, meaning the vibrations from the record player were bypassing his damaged outer and middle ear structures and directly stimulating his inner ear.
Wow, nature found a way.
It seems so. This persistent desire, mixed with faith and consistent input, effectively induced nature to correct error in a way conventional medicine couldn't initially explain, demonstrating the incredible potential to influence even physical reality through the subconscious.
And did he hear better?
His son not only gained significant hearing through this unique pathway, but also, as a direct result, converted what was initially his greatest handicap into a significant asset, becoming a great success in life.
Those stories are incredibly powerful because they illustrate the ability to overcome what seem like insurmountable physical limitations through mental and emotional cultivation.
They really show the potential.
So autosuggestion is about what we deliberately feed our minds. What about heterosuggestion, suggestions that come from others? It sounds like it can be equally powerful, but potentially far more destructive if not managed.
Indeed. Heterosuggestion refers to external suggestions originating from another person, and its influence has played a significant, often unacknowledged role throughout history, even in controlling people who are unaware of the profound laws of mind.
Suggestions from outside.
Right. While heterosuggestion can certainly be used constructively, for instance, a doctor's reassuring words can aid healing in its negative aspect. It's one of the most insidious and destructive response patterns of the mind, frequently leading to misery, failure, sickness, and disaster.
That sounds serious.
It can be. Consider the chilling historical story of a man who visited a crystal gazer in India. She told him, with great conviction, that he had a bad heart, and to his horror predicted his death at the next new moon.
Oh no.
The man accepted this powerful suggestion completely, allowing it to bypass his conscious reasoning and enter his subconscious mind unimpeded.
He believed her.
Totally. He became terrified, his thoughts constantly dwelling on the prediction, even arranging his will in anticipation. And tragically, he died precisely as predicted.
He literally died from the prediction.
He was, in essence, the unwitting cause of his own death by accepting that intensely negative belief and allowing it to program his subconscious.
Chilling.
This underscores the critical importance of knowing that you have the conscious power to reject all these negative suggestions by giving your subconscious mind constructive autosuggestions. Your conscious mind acts as a powerful filter, and it's vital to exercise that power to protect your mental garden from destructive seeds, regardless of where they originate.
We have to be the gatekeeper of our own minds.
Absolutely. Vigilant gatekeepers.
This raises a profoundly important question. If our thoughts are so powerful and our subconscious mind is this faithful inner architect building our reality, how do we consciously and consistently direct this inner architect beyond just simple affirmations? What are the deliberate, actionable techniques for shaping our desired reality?
One of the most effective and widely practiced methods is the visualization technique, often referred to as the mental movie method.
Mental movies. Okay.
This involves consciously forming and holding an idea in your mind's eye as vividly and clearly as if it were already alive, present, and tangible.
Seeing it in detail.
Yes. Any picture which you have in your mind, it is profoundly stated, is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. The philosophy posits that what you form in your imagination, complete with emotional feeling, is as real in the mental realm as any part of your physical body.
Real in the mind first.
Exactly. The idea and the thought are real, and with persistent, faithful mental engagement, they will one day appear in your objective physical world. The key here is not just seeing, but feeling it as real, as already accomplished.
Feeling is the secret sauce again.
Always.
So it's about creating a clear, vibrant, emotionally charged mental image and then holding on to it with unwavering belief. Can you give us a powerful example of this working for financial abundance, as so many people seek that?
Certainly. Take the inspiring case of Mr. Broke, a man who found himself deeply in debt, out of work, and supporting 3 young children with no visible means of income. He was in a truly desperate situation.
Sounds rough.
Very. He adopted this visualization technique by regularly, every night and morning for about 3 weeks, quietly repeating the words, "Thank you, Father, for my wealth."
Gratitude, even when broke.
Yes, gratitude for the wealth he desired as if it were already present. He did this in a relaxed, peaceful manner, allowing the feeling or mood of thankfulness to dominate his mind.
Cultivating the feeling.
Exactly. When fear or thoughts of lack inevitably crept into his mind, he would simply, gently but firmly, reiterate his gratitude. "Thank you, Father." He understood that by consistently maintaining this thankful, abundant attitude, he was actively reconditioning his mind to the idea of wealth, regardless of his current circumstance.
And what happened?
The result was nothing short of remarkable. He serendipitously met a former employer whom he hadn't seen in 20 years. This employer, entirely unprompted, offered him a lucrative position and a substantial $500 temporary loan, which in those times was a significant sum.
Just out of the blue.
Seemingly. Today, Mr. Broke is a successful vice president of that very company. His story is a powerful testament to the wonders that unfold when you cultivate a mindset of gratitude and abundance, even when your external reality seems to contradict it.
Wow.
It shows that the Father, or infinite intelligence, responds to the felt truth within, not just the spoken word.
That's a truly inspiring transformation. It's like he manifested abundance from a state of gratitude and internal conviction, even when the external reality didn't reflect it at all.
Precisely. The inner shift preceded the outer shift.
What about applying this visualization to more specific business or career goals rather than just general wealth?
The same principles apply directly. Consider the story of a pharmacist who was working for others but harbored a deep, burning desire to own his own store.
A common dream.
Yes. He didn't just wish for it. He mentally immersed himself in the experience. He imagined that he was in his own store. He would mentally arrange bottles on shelves, dispense prescriptions, hear the sounds, and vividly visualize a robust, positive bank balance.
Lived it in his mind.
He truly lived the role, acting as if he already owned it, embodying the feeling of being a successful pharmacy owner. After 4 years of consistent mental work, coupled with practical effort, his persistent mental blueprint paid off. He had saved enough for a down payment on his dream pharmacy.
4 years of visualizing.
And working towards it, yes. And when he found it, he later confirmed it was exactly the store I saw in my imagination. The details he had mentally imprinted had manifested in his physical world.
Amazing detail.
Another powerful application is in the realm of real estate. Clients looking to sell property are advised to mentally affirm their ideal price for the property and then vividly visualize the perfect buyer for their property, seeing them happy and satisfied.
Visualizing the buyer, too.
Yes. This simple, consistent visualization technique has led to remarkable and speedy results in actual sales, often far exceeding expectations. These cases collectively illustrate that when you truly build the mental equivalent of your desire, saturating your subconscious with that image and feeling, your inner architect sets about bringing it into your tangible experience, often through unforeseen channels.
That's incredibly practical and immediately applicable to many listeners. And speaking of tangible experiences, you mentioned healing through the subconscious. Can this mental architect really impact our physical health, even to the point of aiding recovery from severe conditions?
Absolutely. The subconscious mind is fundamentally connected to all the vital processes and functions of your body.
Mind-body connection.
Deeply. It governs your autonomic nervous system, your cellular regeneration, and knows the answer to all problems, including complex physical ailments. It's an innate self-repair mechanism operating constantly.
Our inner healer.
Precisely. One of the most extraordinary historical accounts illustrating this is that of Dr. Esdaile, a Scottish surgeon working in India between 1843 and 1846.
What did he do?
He performed approximately 400 major operations, including severe amputations and tumor removals under mental anesthesia only.
Mental anesthesia.
Seriously. Patients reported no pain whatsoever during the procedures, and remarkably, there were no deaths during the operations, with an extremely low post-operative mortality rate of only 2 to 3%, which was astonishingly low for that era.
That's unbelievable for the 1840s. How?
This truly remarkable success was attributed not to external drugs, but to the patient's confident expectancy, their profound inner conviction that something miraculous would happen, that they would be free from pain and would heal.
Their belief was the anesthetic.
It highlights the profound, direct connection between belief, expectation, and the body's intrinsic healing capabilities.
That's truly astonishing. Mental anesthesia for major surgery, it sounds like it almost defies conventional medical understanding even today.
It certainly pushes the boundaries of what many consider possible.
What about healing someone remotely through what's often referred to as absent treatment? Does the subconscious mind have that kind of reach?
The concept of absent treatment is equally fascinating and stems from the understanding of the universal nature of mind.
Universal mind, okay.
Imagine a daughter living in Los Angeles whose mother is critically ill in New York City. The daughter can effectively pray or direct healing thoughts for her mother from afar. This works because, as the philosophy states, there is but one creative mind, a universal subconscious field, and within this mind principle, there is no time or space.
No time or space constraints.
According to this view, no. Her thoughts of harmony, health, and perfect health for her mother, infused with deep feeling and unwavering belief, operate through this one universal subconscious mind which connects all.
So she connects through this universal field.
Yes. The daughter would affirm quietly to herself for her mother's well-being, focusing intently on the desired state of health, not on the mother's ailment or symptoms. The result in recorded cases has been a remarkable and often swift recovery for the mother, much to the amazement of her attending specialists who could find no conventional explanation.
Doctors couldn't explain it.
Correct. This isn't about sending thoughts across a physical distance, but about realizing that the universal mind is omnipresent. And by aligning your own mind with principles of perfect health and harmony, those qualities can be resurrected or strengthened in another, connected through this universal field.
Fascinating. But you said don't focus on the illness.
It's vital, however, not to name ailments or focus on symptoms, as the subconscious mind draws life from one's attention and fear. To truly heal, one must become a mental surgeon and cut off troubles by filling the mind with great truths of life, like harmony, health, and peace, rather than dwelling on the pathology.
Focus only on the desired outcome.
Exactly. The wholeness, the health.
So it sounds like connecting with this inner intelligence also unlocks an almost supernatural intuition, a way of knowing beyond logical deduction. Tell us more about this sixth sense, as it's often called.
The sixth sense is described as that highly refined portion of the subconscious mind referred to as the creative imagination.
Creative imagination.
It functions as your internal receiving set, through which fully formed ideas, brilliant plans, and profound thoughts flash into the mind as sudden hunches, inspirations, or intuitive insights.
Those aha moments.
Precisely. It is considered the direct link between the finite mind of humans and infinite intelligence, a universal reservoir of knowledge and solutions.
A link to everything.
In a sense, yes. This faculty, when deliberately cultivated and consistently relied upon, is precisely what often marks the distinct difference between a recognized genius and an ordinary individual. It becomes more alert, more receptive, and more potent the more it is used and trusted, suggesting it's a muscle that strengthens with exercise.
So genius can be cultivated, not just innate.
That's the perspective. It suggests a potential that can be developed through conscious practice and reliance.
That's an intriguing idea.
Yeah.
Can you provide some compelling examples of how this creative imagination, this sixth sense, has led to groundbreaking insights and breakthroughs in various fields?
There are several compelling documented examples that illustrate this beautifully. Take Dr. Elmer R. Gates, a scientist who remarkably generated over 200 useful patents by deliberately cultivating his creative faculty.
200 patents. How?
He had a specially designed personal communication room that was soundproof and light-controlled. He would enter this room, shut off the lights, and simply concentrate intently on the known factors of an invention he was working on. He would then wait, in a state of receptive anticipation for ideas to flash into his mind regarding the unknown parts.
He just waited for the answer.
In a state of focused receptivity, yes. On one documented occasion, ideas came so rapidly that he wrote for almost 3 hours continuously, detailing principles that had not a parallel among the known data of the scientific world at the time. This wasn't guesswork. It was pure, intuitive insight.
Whoa, direct download.
You could say that. Another famous instance involves Friedrich von Stridonitz, the renowned chemist, who was utterly perplexed by the complex benzene formula.
Ah, the benzene ring.
Exactly. After countless hours of conventional thought, his subconscious mind, through a flash of the sixth sense, presented him with a sudden flash of a snake biting its own tail and turning around like a pinwheel.
Yeah.
This striking image instantly gave him the long-sought, revolutionary circular rearrangement of atoms for benzene.
The Ouroboros symbol.
Yes, giving him the key insight. Then there's Nikola Tesla, the brilliant electrical scientist and inventor.
Right.
He would build entirely new inventions, down to the minutest detail, completely within his imagination before ever constructing a physical prototype. He famously stated, "Invariably, my device works as I imagined it should. In 20 years, there has not been a single exception."
Built it perfectly in his head first.
Completely. He understood that his subconscious, through the sixth sense, would reveal all necessary parts and functionalities beforehand.
Incredible mental engineering.
And finally, Professor Agassiz, a distinguished naturalist, was struggling for days to decipher a faint fossil fish impression on a stone slab. One night, in a dream, he clearly saw the fish with all its missing features restored.
Solved it in a dream.
Yes. Though the precise image faded upon waking, the powerful intuitive feeling compelled him to revisit the stone slab immediately, where with that newfound insight, the solution then became perfectly clear. These examples vividly demonstrate how the sixth sense provides insight and solutions beyond conventional reasoning and analytical thought.
These stories truly underscore the incredible power of the subconscious mind and intuitive thought, showing that our deepest insights often come from beyond our logical, conscious processing.
They really do suggest a deeper wellspring of knowing.
You also briefly touched on sex transmutation earlier. How exactly does that abstract concept relate to this creative energy and achievement? It can be a somewhat ambiguous term for many.
That's an excellent point, and it's a concept that is often profoundly misunderstood. The emotion of sex is recognized as the most powerful and fundamentally driving force within human experience.
A very powerful drive, yeah.
It's an incredibly intense energy, capable of stimulating the brain to vibrate at a much more rapid and creative rate. The principle of sex transmutation isn't about denying or suppressing a natural human drive.
It's not suppression, okay.
No. Instead, it's about consciously channeling or redirecting that incredibly potent creative energy, the same force that literally generates life, into other productive high-level endeavors like artistic creation, scientific innovation, business action, strategic thinking, or leadership.
Channeling the energy.
Exactly. When this emotion is harnessed and transmuted, meaning its raw energy is redirected, it lifts an individual into a higher sphere of thought, enabling them to master worry, overcome petty annoyances, and transcend limitations that exist on a lower mental plane.
It elevates thought.
That's the idea. It's understood that sex energy is the creative energy of all geniuses because of its immense motivational and imaginative power. This transmutation also generates heightened personal magnetism and an infectious enthusiasm, which are absolutely key qualities for effective leaders, captivating public speakers, and persuasive salespeople.
Magnetism and enthusiasm linked to this energy.
Yeah. Scientific research on high-achieving men, for example, has indicated that they often possess highly developed sexual natures, but have consciously learned the art of this transmutation. This also partly explains why many people seldom achieve truly outstanding success before the age of 40 or even 50, as it can take time and deliberate effort to learn to effectively transmute and channel this powerful innate energy into productive pursuits, rather than simply dissipating it.
So it's about mastering and directing that energy, not just having it.
Precisely. Mastery and direction.
That's a fascinating and clarifying reframe of a fundamental human drive, understanding it as a raw, creative energy that can be consciously directed. And this imaginary counsel technique, how does one use this to cultivate desired character traits? It sounds almost like a mental role-playing exercise taken to an entirely different level.
It is precisely that, and it was a technique the author himself used for years with remarkable results.
How does it work?
The individual consciously imagines a group of esteemed historical figures, individuals whose specific character traits they wish to embody and develop. For instance, you might imagine Charles Darwin for patience, Abraham Lincoln for justice, Andrew Carnegie for organized effort, Henry Ford for persistence, or Thomas Edison for faith.
Your personal board of directors.
Exactly. These figures are mentally seated around a table with you. The individual serves as the chairman, consciously engaging in a mental dialogue and interaction with these imaginary counselors.
Talking to them in your head.
Yes. By consistently interacting with them, asking questions, seeking their advice on problems, and internalizing their perceived traits, the individual gradually rebuilds their own character to represent a composite of these desired qualities.
Absorbing their traits.
That's the goal. The author noted that through consistent practice, these imaginary figures became apparently real in his mind, guiding him into glorious paths of adventure, rekindling a profound appreciation of true greatness, encouraging bold creative endeavor, and emboldening the authentic expression of honest thought. This method powerfully harnesses the creative imagination and the subconscious to imprint new, desirable personality traits and insights through a form of highly immersive self-suggestion.
So beyond our personal desires and our inner mental world, these powerful principles clearly extend to how we interact with others.
Absolutely. It's not just an internal game.
How do we apply these insights, these laws of mind, to build stronger relationships and specifically to influence people effectively, whether in a casual conversation, a business negotiation, or even public speaking?
This is where Dale Carnegie's timeless wisdom, particularly his golden rules for success in interpersonal relationships, becomes profoundly practical. They're truly timeless because they tap into universal human psychology.
Carnegie's rules. Okay.
Firstly, and perhaps one of the most challenging for many, is the foundational rule.
Yeah.
Don't criticize, condemn, or complain.
Easier said than done sometimes.
Absolutely. But negative commentary, whether spoken or implied, inherently repels cooperation and goodwill. It puts people on the defensive and shuts down open communication.
Pushes people away.
It does. Instead, focus immediately on the second, far more powerful rule. Give honest, sincere appreciation. Every single person, universally, wants to be loved and appreciated and made to feel important.
A fundamental need.
When you offer genuine praise, when you truly acknowledge someone's effort or positive quality, you fulfill that fundamental human desire, opening the door for connection and influence. It's not flattery, it's sincere, heartfelt recognition.
That makes perfect sense. No one wants to be around constant negativity, and absolutely everyone thrives on genuine appreciation and feeling seen.
Exactly.
What are some of the other key rules for truly connecting with people on a deeper level?
Another crucial rule is to become genuinely interested in other people. This isn't a superficial tactic. It means cultivating true, unselfish attention to what genuinely matters to them.
Real interest, not faked.
Real interest. When you show genuine interest, you naturally present yourself as a person who genuinely seeks the other person's welfare, and the law of reciprocity is real. People are naturally inclined to reciprocate that interest and gravitate toward you.
Makes sense.
Also, and this is deceptively simple but incredibly powerful, smile. It's described as the most infectious disease in the world, a universal sign of peace, confidence, and approachability, and it's profoundly magnetic.
Just smiling.
A genuine smile works wonders.
Mm-hmm.
Furthermore, remember a person's name. To that person, it's the sweetest and most important sound in any language.
Makes them feel valued.
It conveys respect, attention, and importance, signaling that you value them enough to recall something so personal.
Those seem like basic courtesies, yet they're so often overlooked in our fast-paced world. It's amazing how much impact such simple actions can have.
They are simple, but profound in their effect.
What else is essential for effective interpersonal connection and influence?
Beyond remembering names, being a good listener and encouraging others to talk about themselves is vital. People inherently enjoy sharing information about topics that genuinely interest them, especially themselves.
We all love talking about ourselves.
We do. And when you listen intently and ask open-ended questions, you make them feel important, understood, and valued. This leads directly to the next point. Talk in terms of the other person's interests.
Focus on them, not you.
Right. This demonstrates genuine attentiveness,
Right.
shows that you've heard them, and naturally encourages reciprocal action and deeper engagement. Lastly, and perhaps most importantly, is to make the other person feel important, and do so sincerely.
Sincerely important.
Yes. This isn't about manipulative flattery. It's about genuine praise, acknowledging their contributions, accepting or giving them responsibility, and showing profound respect. This sincerity engenders a deep feeling of self-worth and importance in the other person, fostering trust and a desire to cooperate. This entire framework is about giving, truly giving, to foster strong, productive relationships built on mutual respect and genuine appreciation.
It sounds like these principles are about creating an environment where people feel seen, valued, and profoundly understood, which then opens the door for influence and collaboration.
That's a perfect summary. It's about creating that positive relational space.
Can these same principles, particularly the idea of impressing desired qualities onto the subconscious, be applied to attracting an ideal partner in life? It's a goal for so many people.
Absolutely, the very same principles apply directly and powerfully to attracting an ideal partner.
How
Just as you impress the subconscious with visions of financial or professional success, you can consciously affirm the specific characteristics and qualities you truly seek in a life partner. For example, you might quietly, but with deep conviction and feeling, repeat to yourself, I am now attracting a man-woman into my experience who is honest, sincere, loyal, faithful, peaceful, happy, and prosperous.
listing the desired qualities.
Yes. By building this clear, vibrant mental equivalent of your ideal partner into your mentality, by consistently holding that image and truly feeling the emotions associated with it, the deeper currents of your subconscious mind will work to bring both of you together in divine order. It's about creating an internal magnet for the qualities you seek.
Creating the mental magnet. Okay, that's a profound application. Is there a concrete, real-world example of this working for someone, particularly someone who might have struggled with relationships in the past?
Indeed. There was a teacher who, through a series of relationships, had fallen into a pattern of attracting passive, dependent husbands, which was not truly what she desired for fulfilling partnership.
A repeating pattern.
Yes. She became consciously aware of this negative pattern and decided, using this very technique, to break it. She began to mentally affirm a strong, powerful, loving, and masculine partner, building this image into her mentality and emotional system until she reached a point of saturation, meaning it became a deep-seated, undeniable conviction within her subconscious.
Reached saturation.
Okay, it wasn't a casual wish, it was a felt reality. After some months of consistent mental work, she met a physician who proposed marriage the very first week they met.
The first week.
That's the story. He was indeed not passive, but a truly masculine, deeply spiritual, and loving man. She got exactly what she had consistently and emotionally affirmed for, because she claimed it mentally and emotionally until it became an undeniable part of her inner reality, which then manifested externally.
That's amazing and deeply encouraging for anyone feeling stuck in a relationship pattern.
It shows the power of changing the inner blueprint.
And what about when a relationship, like a marriage, faces conflict? It's a deeply personal issue, and conflict is inevitable. Can these principles help resolve those challenging, deeply emotional issues?
Yes, fundamentally. It's crucial to understand that divorce begins in the mind, long before any legal proceedings.
Starts in the mind. How?
A significant yet common mistake people make during marital strife is discussing their problems and grievances with neighbors, relatives, or even close friends.
Venting to others.
Exactly. This act of vocalizing and dwelling on the negatives degrades and belittles the partner in others' eyes, but more critically, it creates negative thought patterns and emotional resonance within oneself.
Reinforces the negativity internally.
Precisely. As you dwell on the perceived shortcomings or negative actions of your spouse, you are actually creating these negative states within yourself, because, as a universal law, as you think and feel, so are you. Your internal environment mirrors your external focus.
So complaining makes it worse.
It reinforces the negative reality. The profound advice here is to refrain from criticism and condemnation, even internally. Instead, couples are strongly encouraged to focus on radiating love, peace, and goodwill to each other, even when feeling challenged, and to use a form of prayer therapy to assume the harmonious state as if it already exists.
Assume harmony, even in conflict.
Yes. This means consciously choosing to focus on the positive qualities of your partner and envisioning a peaceful, loving resolution rather than dwelling on the negative aspects of the conflict. The silent inner knowing and conviction of a healing, harmonious power can indeed change negative patterns in the subconscious minds of both parties, leading to objective resolution and reconciliation.
That's a deeply empathetic approach to conflict. Shifting gears slightly, but still within the realm of communication, what are the essential principles for truly impactful public speaking, given that it's a crucial skill in virtually every field today, from video calls to large conferences? Many people dread it.
Public speaking. Yes, it fundamentally relies on four essential principles that overcome that dread, even in modern contexts.
Okay, what's the first one?
The first, as we've discussed with other achievements, is a strong and persistent desire. This is paramount. If your desire to master public speaking is pale and flabby, a mere passing wish, then your achievements in this area will predictably reflect that hue and consistency.
Desire again, got it.
But if you pursue it with bulldog-like persistence, with a white-hot desire that burns within you, then nothing underneath the Milky Way will defeat you. It's the driving, unwavering force that will push you through discomfort and initial failures.
So it starts with an intense personal commitment, just like any other major achievement or deeply desired goal. That internal fire seems to be the common thread.
It really is. It fuels everything else.
What comes after that desire for effective public speaking?
Secondly, you must know thoroughly what you are going to talk about.
Preparation.
Deep preparation. This goes beyond merely reading through notes. Preparation is about assembling your thoughts, your ideas, your convictions, and your urges into a cohesive, deeply understood narrative. A speaker who hasn't prepared thoroughly, who lacks a deep mastery of their subject, will inevitably feel uncomfortable, unconvincing, and transmit that insecurity to the audience.
Makes sense. Confidence comes from knowing your stuff.
Exactly. A well-prepared speech is already 9/10 delivered because your inner confidence stems from your knowledge. When preparing, aim to focus on one or two key angles or central themes, rather than trying to cover too much ground.
Don't try to boil the ocean.
Right. Think of your talk as a layer cake approach. Begin with general, compelling statements, then support them with concrete cases you have observed, specific instances, and memorable anecdotes. This makes talks far easier to remember than abstractions and will brighten your delivery for the audience, who generally appreciate names and dates, something they can examine for themselves and relate to.
Concrete examples and stories. Good tip.
Very effective.
That emphasis on thorough preparation and specific examples is incredibly clear. But let's be honest, even with great preparation, what if you're standing up there, microphone in hand, and you're utterly terrified? How do you overcome that very real, very common fear of the audience, often called buck fever?
Ah, yes, the fear. That leads directly to the third essential principle, acting confident, even if you don't feel it internally at first.
Fake it till you make it.
In a structured way, yes. As the renowned psychologist Professor William James wisely advised, to feel brave, act as if we were brave, use all of our will to that end, and a courage fit will very likely replace the fit of fear.
Act brave to feel brave. How?
This means consciously taking command of your physical presence. Step out briskly and purposefully onto the stage or into view. Take several deep, deliberate breaths for 30 seconds before you even begin to oxygenate your system and calm your nerves.
Use your body.
Exactly. Look straight at the audience, not at your notes, as if you had something urgent to say.
Mm-hmm.
Even for a radio audience or in a video call where your physical gestures might be unseen, those physical actions still add increased aliveness and energy to your tones and your overall demeanor. It's about leveraging your physical state to influence your internal emotional and mental state. Your body language can literally reprogram your internal feeling of fear into courage.
So it's about projecting confidence to feel confident, a powerful feedback loop.
A very powerful loop.
And the last essential principle, I imagine it's quite foundational given the journey we've mapped out for other achievements.
The fourth, and arguably the most indispensable, is practice, practice, practice.
Practice, of course.
This is the never-failing way to develop self-confidence in speaking. It is the sine qua non, the without which not.
The essential ingredient.
Absolutely. Overcoming buck fever, that intense nervous excitement that can affect new speakers, is fundamentally a matter of habit that comes through consistent, repeated effort and self-mastery. The fear of an audience is, at its root, a lack of confidence stemming almost entirely from lack of experience.
Fear, lack of experience.
Largely, yes. The more you speak, the more successful experiences you accumulate, and your fears will dissipate like night mists under the glare of a July sun. Your subconscious learns from repetition, and each successful practice session, each successful delivery, builds a new, confident pathway.
That's incredibly reassuring. That experience itself gradually erodes fear, much like water carving rock over time.
It absolutely does.
Okay.
Habit overcomes fear.
Beyond just delivery, what about making your message land effectively? How do you ensure clear communication and memorability so your words truly resonate and stick with the audience?
To make your message land powerfully and stick, remember this core truth. A speech is a voyage with a purpose, and it must be charted. The man who starts nowhere generally gets there.
Know your destination.
Precisely. You need a clear destination, a specific objective for your talk. When preparing, cultivate a positive and assertive tone. Avoid weasel words like, "it seems to me," or "perhaps," which dilute your message.
Be definite.
Yes. Instead, put energy behind what you say and say it positively with conviction. People are drawn to certainty. Also, always appeal to the audience's selfish interests. That is, their core needs, desires, and concerns.
What's in it for them?
Exactly. If you're selling fire insurance, don't just talk about the policy. Tell them specifically how to prevent fires on their own property, how it protects their assets, their peace of mind. This makes it personal and profoundly relevant.
Makes sense. What about memory for the speaker and the audience?
For memory improvement, whether for yourself or for your audience, there are 3 fundamental natural laws: impression, repetition, and association.
Impression, repetition, association.
Yep. 5 minutes of vivid, energetic concentration will produce greater results than days of mooning about in a mental haze. To impress something vividly, involve as many senses as possible, especially sight. Write down names, numbers, or outlines and visualize them clearly in your mind.
Make it vivid.
Yes. For names, tie them to a person's business, a descriptive phrase, or something memorable about them. For dates, connect them to well-known historical events that are easily recalled. For example, remembering 1492 in connection with Columbus discovering America.
Connect it to something known.
Right. For talk points, arrange them logically so one idea naturally leads to the next, like steps on a staircase. Alternatively, to boost memorability, create a ridiculous sentence or a vivid mental image that links disparate ideas together for easier recall. The more unique and emotionally charged the association, the better it sticks.
Get creative with associations. That's very practical advice. And finally, what role does enthusiasm play in all of this, especially in communication and influence? Is it just about sounding excited, or is there something much deeper at play?
Enthusiasm is absolutely paramount. It's an indispensable ingredient. Ralph Waldo Emerson famously said, "Every great movement is the triumph of enthusiasm."
Triumph of enthusiasm. Powerful.
The word itself, enthusiasm, carries profound meaning, originating from 2 Greek words, en meaning in, and theos meaning God. So enthusiasm literally translates to God in us.
God in us.
An enthusiastic person speaks or acts as if God possessed him, imbued with the divine energy. It's described as the most effective, the most important factor in advertising and selling, and truly getting things done because it is inherently infectious.
Enthusiasm is contagious.
Extremely. Your hearers are almost sure to catch it if you have a bad case of it yourself. It's not merely about sounding excited or performative. It's about genuine sincerity and strong felt emotions that burn away barriers, allowing your authentic, real self to surface and speak spontaneously and naturally.
Authenticity shines through.
It does. When you are truly impressed and passionate about your subject, your spirit shining through your eyes, radiating through your voice, and animating your entire presence will inevitably communicate itself directly to your audience, creating a powerful, almost magnetic connection.
It truly seems like all these principles, from mental visualization to public speaking, boil down to cultivating certain habits and a very specific, deliberate mindset.
At the end of the day, yes, mindset and habits.
How do we make these powerful ideas a consistent, unwavering part of our daily lives for sustained achievement, rather than just isolated acts of will?
That's the ultimate challenge and indeed the ultimate key to lasting transformation. Your character, in a nutshell, is just a sum total of your daily habits. Habits are the invisible architects of your destiny.
Habits shape destiny.
To cultivate new, desirable habits and replace old, limiting ones, there are several specific practical rules. First, you must take inventory of yourself, calmly and brutally honestly.
Self-assessment.
Yes. This means introspecting without judgment, and crucially, not shying away from asking trusted friends for their candid, objective opinions on your habits, both positive and negative. This external feedback is often an invaluable mirror for self-awareness.
That first step requires real courage, doesn't it? To honestly look at yourself, acknowledge shortcomings, and even invite external critique without defensiveness.
It absolutely does. Humility and honesty are prerequisites.
What's the next critical step once you've identified areas for improvement, once that initial inventory is done?
Secondly, and this is absolutely crucial for breaking old patterns and forging new ones, don't make excuses for yourself.
No excuses. Tough one.
Very tough, but essential. This is where most people falter. As the great philosopher William James wisely put it, Every lapse is like the letting fall of a ball of string, which one is carefully winding up. A single slip undoes more than a great many turns will wind again.
One slip costs a lot.
It does. This highlights the importance of consistency. Edna Ferber, the renowned writer, for example, famously forced herself to write 6 hours daily, even when completely uninspired or lacking motivation, because she understood the power of showing up and keeping faith with herself.
Just keep showing up.
If you commit to a new habit, you must not permit yourself to fail in its application, not even once, if possible. If you do stray, immediately return to your program without berating yourself or listening to those self-sabotaging excuses. The path to mastery is continuous return.
That resonates deeply. The consistent, unwavering effort, the commitment to showing up even when the inspiration isn't there.
It's the core of discipline.
What about making those commitments even stronger, ensuring that the new habits truly stick?
The third crucial rule is to make definitive public commitments. Look at successful athletes, for instance. They practice rigorously every single day, often with their training schedules known to their team and coaches.
Accountability.
Exactly. If you decide to embrace a new, challenging habit, keep your goal front and center in your mind, but also reinforce your commitment by making it public. Tell your trusted friends, share it with your community, or post it on social media. This creates a powerful layer of accountability and external pressure that often ensures you follow through, especially during those initial moments of doubt or temptation. It harnesses the power of your social environment to support your internal resolve.
That's brilliant. Accountability can indeed be a powerful motivator, knowing others are aware of your intentions.
It adds another layer of incentive.
Speaking of unwavering commitment, what role does persistence play in all of this? It feels like the ultimate glue that holds everything together, especially when the initial enthusiasm wanes.
Persistence is truly the unyielding force. There's absolutely no substitute for it in the journey of achievement.
No substitute at all.
None. The philosophy states unequivocally that old man failure finally becomes tired and goes away. Failure cannot cope with persistence.
Outlast failure.
Exactly. Those individuals who pick themselves up after defeat, after setbacks, and keep trying, keep pushing forward, are consistently and inevitably rewarded. Consider the iconic words of Michael Jordan, perhaps the greatest basketball player of all time.
MJ, right.
He said, "I have missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I have lost almost 300 games. On 26 occasions, I have been entrusted to take the game-winning shot, and I missed. I have failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed."
Failure leads to success through persistence.
Precisely. This profound statement illustrates that persistent effort in the face of setbacks invariably leads to triumph. It proves that every failure brings with it the seed of an equivalent advantage if you have the persistence to extract that lesson.
Find the seed of advantage.
Yes. If you find yourself lacking persistence, the remedy is not to try harder, but to build a stronger fire under your desires, because weak desires bring weak results. Persistence fundamentally is a direct result of habit, the habit of never giving up.
So setbacks aren't roadblocks, but rather opportunities for growth if we just persist and extract the lessons.
That's the transformative perspective.
But what about our greatest internal adversary, the one that can paralyze us even before we start? Fear. How do we conquer it when it seems so pervasive and debilitating?
Fear. Fear is truly man's greatest enemy, often subtly lying behind failure, sickness, and poor human relations, undermining our potential.
It lurks everywhere.
It can seem that way. Abnormal fear, the kind that truly debilitates, occurs when we let our imagination run riot, feeding it with negative possibilities.
Imagination running wild negatively.
Exactly. Consider the woman who meticulously cut out every single newspaper report of airplane catastrophes, constantly visualizing herself dying in a crash. Or the businessman who allowed himself to be consumed by the constant fear of bankruptcy, mentally running movies of empty shelves and closed doors until it shockingly manifested in his physical reality.
They visualize their fears into being.
It appears that way. As the ancient book of Job states with chilling accuracy, "The thing I feared has come upon me." These fears, though initially imagined, become powerful, destructive, self-fulfilling prophecies because the subconscious mind, as we discussed, acts on whatever it's fed, regardless of whether it's desired or dreaded.
That's a stark and sobering warning. So if we constantly visualize what we don't want, that's precisely what we attract.
The subconscious doesn't filter desirability, only dominance and feeling.
It sounds almost too simple, but what's the direct solution then to breaking free from the grip of fear?
The solution is simple, yet profoundly effective. Do the thing you are afraid to do, and the death of fear is certain.
Do the feared thing. Confront it.
Yes. This means actively, mentally, and physically moving toward the opposite of what is feared. If you have a deep-seated fear of water, for example, begin by sitting quietly, relaxing your body, and vividly visualizing yourself swimming confidently, feeling the refreshing chill of the water, and internally asserting, I am going to master you, I can dominate you, I am a strong swimmer.
Visualize the opposite of the fear.
Correct. Similarly, for an elevator phobia, you would visualize confidently entering the elevator, feeling safe, and calmly reaching your desired floor. By actively affirming the opposite of your fear, by repeatedly impressing this desired outcome onto your subconscious mind, you release its power to respond, giving you strength, faith, and confidence that was previously inaccessible.
Reprogramming fear into confidence.
Exactly. The perfect formula for casting out fear is beautifully encapsulated in Psalm 34.4. I sought the Lord, and he heard me and delivered me from all my fears. Here, within the philosophical framework we are discussing, Lord isn't necessarily meant in a strictly religious or personal deity sense, but rather signifies the immutable law, the inherent governing principle and responsive power of your subconscious mind and the universal intelligence it connects to.
So Lord means the law of mind here.
In this interpretation, yes. It hears your true, felt beliefs and delivers you from the fears you actively replace with faith.
That puts the power squarely back in our hands, emphasizing internal transformation over external circumstances.
It does. You hold the key.
Another pervasive fear in our society, especially with increasing lifespans, is aging and the idea of becoming useless or irrelevant. How does this philosophy address age as an asset rather than a liability?
This philosophy strongly and unequivocally challenges the widespread societal notion that old age equates to uselessness, decline, or irrelevance.
Challenges that common belief.
Vigorously. It posits that mind and spirit do not grow old. To believe that the earthly cycle or physical decline is all there is to life, it states, is indeed to be pitied, as it leads to frustration, stagnation, cynicism, and a sense of hopelessness.
A limiting belief.
Extremely limiting. Instead, it highlights that wisdom, accumulated skill, refined judgment, and profound understanding often increase and deepen with age, creating invaluable assets.
Age brings wisdom.
Absolutely. Consider the compelling examples. George Bernard Shaw, a brilliant playwright, was active and creatively prolific at 90, his artistic mind undimmed.
Shaw at 90.
Yes. The author's own father learned to speak French fluently at 65 and Gaelic at 60, passing away at 99 with a crystal-clear, alert mind. Marcus Porcius Cato, the Roman statesman, famously learned Greek at 80, and Madame Ernestine Schumann-Heink achieved immense musical success and acclaim even after becoming a grandmother.
Incredible examples of lifelong vitality.
The message here is clear. Age brings a unique richness of experience. From an organizational perspective, rejecting older workers with their talents, experience, and wisdom gathered through years is seen as a form of financial suicide for any enterprise.
Bad business to ignore experience.
Definitely. The overarching encouragement is to get a vision, to continuously learn, to pursue new interests, and to resist the temptation of stagnation. You are truly as old as you think and feel, and your mental framework dictates your vitality and potential at any age.
That's a powerful and liberating perspective, profoundly reframing age as a source of strength, wisdom, and continued contribution rather than a narrative of decline.
It's a much more empowering view.
Now, let's talk about the practical application of these principles in earning a living. How do we effectively market our personal services, whether we're employees, freelancers, or entrepreneurs in today's competitive landscape?
When it comes to marketing your personal services, and this applies to anyone earning income by selling their skills, expertise, or time, it's very much like a shrewd merchant selling commodities.
Selling yourself like a product.
In terms of value proposition, yes. You must adopt and consistently follow the QQS formula. Quality plus quantity plus the proper spirit of cooperation equals perfect marketing of service.
QQS formula. Okay, break that down.
Quality of service means performing every single detail of your work in the most efficient, excellent, and thorough manner possible, always striving for continuous improvement and greater efficiency in everything you do.
Quality is excellence and efficiency. Got it.
Quantity of service is cultivating the habit of rendering all the service you are genuinely capable of, consistently giving your best, with the deliberate purpose of increasing that amount as your skill, experience, and efficiency naturally develop.
Quantity is giving your all and growing.
Right. And spirit of service is the habit of consistently maintaining an agreeable, harmonious conduct and attitude that naturally induces cooperation, trust, and goodwill from your associates, clients, and fellow employees.
Spirit is the positive, cooperative attitude.
Exactly. It's emphasized that a pleasing personality, infused with this spirit of cooperation, can often powerfully compensate for minor deficiencies in quality or quantity, building strong relationships.
Attitude matters a lot.
Immensely. It's also about a fundamental shift in business philosophy from being a go-getter to truly being a go-giver, recognizing that both employer and employee are ultimately and profoundly employed by the public they serve. Your value is in serving others excellently.
That's a comprehensive and timeless framework for professional success and building a reputation. Finally, how do we integrate all of this, the mental laws, the emotional cultivation, the interpersonal skills, the professional excellence, into a continuous process of self-reflection and growth, and maintain a truly happy, fulfilling, and continuously evolving life?
Self-reflection is the bedrock of continuous growth and sustained fulfillment. The recommendation is to conduct an annual self-analysis, much like a merchant meticulously taking inventory of their stock and finances.
An annual personal inventory?
Precisely. This analysis should reveal a tangible decrease in faults and an increase in virtues. You must honestly and courageously ask yourself challenging questions, such as, have I reached decisions promptly and definitely in the past year? Have I dissipated any of my energy through lack of concentration of effort? Have I been open-minded and tolerant to new ideas and differing viewpoints?
Asking the tough questions.
Yes. This regular, structured assessment ensures you are always moving forward, learning, and refining your approach to life.
Constant improvement.
Within this critical process of self-reflection, forgiveness is absolutely essential for achieving and maintaining mental peace and radiant health.
Forgiveness. Crucial for peace.
Yes, you cannot really forgive yourself completely until you have forgiven others first. Forgiveness is not condoning wrongdoing or forgetting an injustice. Rather, it's the conscious act of giving up the negative, hurtful memories, the bitterness, the resentment, and the ill will that clutter up and impede the free flow of the life principle within you.
Letting go of the toxic stuff.
Exactly. It's releasing the self-imposed prison of grievance. A practical technique involves quietly calming the mind, affirming the full release of the offender from your judgment, and consciously wishing them blessings. This act profoundly frees you from the toxic emotional burden.
Forgiveness frees the forgiver.
Primarily. And finally, choosing happiness is not a passive outcome, but a conscious daily decision. Happiness is fundamentally a state of mind and internal choice, regardless of external circumstances.
Happiness is a choice.
Yes. As a guiding principle, choose ye this day whom you will serve. The advice is to deliberately think on whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report.
Focus on the good.
Deliberately. Start your day with a powerful felt affirmation, such as, I am definitely going to be happy all day long, visualizing divine order, prosperity, and joy flowing into your life. The underlying universal principle that underpins all we've discussed is that your value is established entirely by your ability to render useful service, or your capacity to induce others to render such service. It all cycles back to the profound inner work that consistently shapes and elevates your outward reality, making you a force for good and a magnet for abundance.
What a profound journey we've taken today. We've truly plunged into the immense power of definite desire, understood the subconscious mind's faithful and literal role as our inner architect manifesting our beliefs, learned the art of influencing others through genuine connection and confident communication, and discovered the vital, lifelong habits of persistence, fear mastery, and continuous growth.
It really covers a lot of ground, connecting the inner and outer worlds.
Absolutely.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it becomes abundantly clear that true abundance, in all its forms, financial, relational, spiritual, and intellectual, is not about acquiring something outside ourselves, but about uncovering, refining, and consistently applying the incredible, often latent forces that already reside within.
It's already inside us.
Yes. You possess the inherent power to influence your own subconscious mind, and through it, to gain the cooperation of infinite intelligence and the universe itself. This truly raises an important question for you, our listener. What will you choose to consciously cultivate within your mind today, knowing it holds the precise blueprint for your tomorrow?
A powerful question indeed. If you found these insights as valuable and transformative as we did, consider rating and sharing this deep dive with others who might benefit from these powerful principles.